Hello everyone, it's time for Lockdown Sees the World. Today we talk about China's first official visit to Western countries in recent history, and Anson Burlingame, American diplomat and also as China's envoy. In February 1868, after two Opium Wars, China's Mandarin government finally dispatched its first delegation to America and Europe with 30 members and set out from Shanghai. Its leader was Anson Burlingame, an American minister to China. You may wonder how it happened. The failure in two Opium Wars and the Treaty of Humiliation forced China to see escape from the West, and the fading of the Celestial Empire and the tribute system, the coming of the age of treaties. China's isolation couldn't keep it from the foreign battleships, and China should know more about the West to learn from it and to open and go abroad, because China knew too little about the outside world. In 1861, the Qing's government established an administration for foreign affairs, following international norms of diplomacy instead of former traditions as to the uncivilized. In 1862, an agency of foreign translation was set up for more interpreters and diplomats. At the same year, foreign legation began to station in Beijing, and China was required to send delegations go abroad. Yet the bias against the West was deep-rooted and little known about the norms in diplomacy, and few was eligible for the mission, so the assignment was delayed again and again. In November 1867, U.S. Minister to China Anson Burlingame was bound to leave after his mission completed. Yixin, an agent of Qing government, then asked Burlingame whether he liked to work as China's envoy to visit the West. Burlingame believed it as a first trying of seeing the world from the old empire that with 1/3 global population. He accepted the invitation after being approved by the American government, which paved the way for the coming mission. Burlingame was born in New Berlin, New York, on November 14, 1820. And in 1846, he graduated from law school of Harvard University, then became a lawyer, engaged in politics. In 1853, he was elected as a state senator of Massachusetts, and helped in establishing American Republican Party. From 1855 to 1861, he became a U.S. Congress representative. He was eloquent and a stern abolitionist, and he was also regarded as a hero in the North because of a story of a duel. At his time, the confrontations intensified between American South and the North. In 1856, the U.S. Congress Senator Charles Sumner made a speech slamming on slavery, which caused malicious retaliation and attack from Preston Brooks, a Congress representative from South Carolina. Sumner got hurt seriously. Burlingame condemned Brooks and accepted his dual challenges without any hesitation. Burlingame chose Niagara Falls near U.S.-Canada border as a dual place and a rifle as the weapon. He was not only eloquent but also good at shooting. Later, Brooks gave up the duel with many excuses, which made Burlingame more well known. In March 1861, President Lincoln appointed Burlingame as minister to Austria. Yet his sympathy to Hungarian Revolution and support to its domestic independence made him a person non grata to Australia. So Burlingame had to be changed to be the minister to China. In July 1862, Burlingame arrived in China and stationed in Beijing with the first group of foreign legations. Meanwhile, there were also British minister to China, F. Bruce, French minister G.F. Barsamy, the Russian minister L. Baluziak, and they were called as the 4 Bs because all their last names begin with the alphabet B. With U.S. State Secretary Seward's instruction, Burlingame carried out cooperation policy in China. No interference to China's domestic affairs, no fringe to China's territorial integrity. In comparison to other powers' toughness and coldness, American attitude and Burlingame's friendliness won him Qing government's favor and trust. During his stay in China, Burlingame helped American missionary William Martin in translating the book Elements of International Law by American scholar John Whitten into Chinese and printed it by Qing government. And this was the first book for China to know international laws and diplomacy. Burlingame and Mark Twain were good friends, and he also made the poem The Sum of Life by Henry Longfellow very well known in China. It was translated by Dongxun in Chinese ancient poem style and written and fine, which was given to Longfellow himself when Burlingame returned to America. And until today, it is still displayed at Longfellow's residence. The poem of Sum of Life is the first American literature that translated into Chinese, also China's first English-Chinese translation in poem. Burlingame introduced the book by Chinese scholar Xu Jiyu, The Concise Records of the World, to America, in which Xu called President Washington as a great leader, and the article was inscribed on Washington Monument. Besides, U.S. State Department presented Washington portrait to Xu via Burlingame. Burlingame also recommended American geologist Raphael Pumpelly to help China in finding a large coal mine in north part of China. Mandarin Qing government believed in Burlingame, who was being regarded as genial and knowledgeable and eager to help China whenever needed. During American Civil War, by Burlingame's request, China refused any Confederate battleships to enter its harbor. Burlingame was appointed as China's envoy for foreign affairs, and he also helped China in designing its first national flag, the Yellow Dragon flag. In April 1868, a Chinese delegation arrived at San Francisco. On the way, Burlingame had been worried about whether or not Americans understood his decision as China's envoy, and whether they came for making troubles for his so-called unfaithfulness. Yet when he arrived, he was greeted by cross people, and then he also introduced to American public. China as an old empire began to accept the new world. In June, Burlingame arrived at Washington and met his former boss, the Secretary of State Seward, and also sent credentials to President Andrew Johnson. In aftermath, Seward arranged the state banquet in White House for a Chinese delegation, and also visited U.S. Capitol and President Washington's farm in Mount Vernon. Finally, Seward treated the delegation in fine dining at his home. In July 1868, Seward and Burlingame signed a treaty admitting mutual equality in international affairs and reciprocity, respect to China's sovereignty, free immigration and residence, free for school education, and also open the door for Chinese students overseas study in America. In September 1868, Burlingame and a Chinese delegation arrived at London and met with Queen Victoria and the British Foreign Minister. Britain expressed that she would not pursue unfriendly, high-pressure policy to China's independence and security. Yet China would have to obey international norms and treaties. In January 1869, Burlingame arrived at France and met Emperor Napoleon III. After visiting Denmark, Sweden, and Holland, a Chinese delegation got to Prussia and convened with Prime Minister von Bismarck, who said he would follow the policy similar to that of Britain. At the beginning of February of 1870, Burlingame arrived at St. Petersburg, Russia, and met with Tsar Alexander II. Due to long trip, hard working, and fever and pneumonia, Burlingame passed away on February 23, 1870 in Russia at the age of 49. The Qing government honored him with title promotion and compensation of 10,000 silver taels. Burlingame was carried back to America for his funeral, where honored with both national flags of America and China. After his death, Chinese delegation kept on visiting Belgium, Spain, and Italy. Finally finished the mission and returned to Beijing in November 1870. Since 1873, the Qing government began to abolish the quota requirements to foreign ambassadors when they met with the Chinese emperor, and replaced with the Western tradition of bowing head only, which showed some progresses in China's changes, with gradually accepting modern international norms. As an American, Burlingame was willing to help China's first foreign mission to the West, increased mutual exchange and understanding, and also improved China's international image and status. American writer Mark Twain said, Burlingame is selfless and merciful in giving help, which is above border and nation, and made him as a great citizen to the world. The tomb of Burlingame is at Mount Auburn Cemetery, Cambridge, Massachusetts, just a half-hour walk to Harvard University. As a Chinese friend, an envoy and ambassador, he devoted to his mission and duty in service. And his name and story deserve our remembering and thinking. Above is today's program, and thank you for your joining in, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.